All right, this is Rich Hodge. We're here with the Beltway Hat Trick Competitive Podcast. We're here with Ross Litkenhous, serial entrepreneur, kind of lacrosse rat. So this is a different version of the typical podcast we do. This is kind of a more intimate setting. So it's got a competitive vibe to it. So this podcast is all about kind of pulling competitors in and telling different stories about life and lacrosse. I met Ross maybe 4 years ago playing box lacrosse. Ross has a really cool story, entrepreneur. We'll get into some of that later. Also talk a little bit about your kind of path and journey to. And I see you still got the belt on.
I haven't taken it off, man.
Since you won the championship.
Beltway Spring Champs. Shout out to the boys on Monks and Bunny, man. It was a good run. It
was a fun night. You played well. You and Mackley had a real battle that night.
He's a beast, man.
He is a beast.
That was a grind. Yeah.
Congrats. So just a couple of different things we'll chat about. Really, I wanted to kind of pull you in because you've been kind of a mentor for me as an entrepreneur, kind of starting Beltway.
A mentor.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Instrumental in kind of helping me build the business from the ground up. You actually put some skin in the game, investing in boards to help us, set up the youth box lacrosse program. So I think from just a Beltway perspective, a lot of fun stuff to talk about. And want to dig into kind of your story. I know, like when I first met you, you were like total box rat. When you found box lacrosse, you were just like enamored with it, and would play pickup, play anywhere you could get some time in the
anywhere.
Rink. You'd show up and play. Didn't matter if it was teenagers, college kids, old guys. Like you were all in. So and I think that story for you has some really powerful connection to the creators game. So. Let's dig into your entrepreneurial stuff for a moment. Talk to me a little bit about like how it got started and like, your path to becoming a CEO.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I think like a lot of entrepreneurs, you find that kind of itch that you're trying to scratch very early on. I mean, my first business that I ever started was like a lemonade stand on steroids when I was 12 years old. Went out to the corner in front of the house down in Alabama where I grew up, built a lemonade stand, started selling everything from lemonade to Cokes and Diet Cokes that I'd go buy and then offer a premium.
It's kind of funny you mentioned that as like your entrepreneurial start. I was in Europe like 2 years ago at a space conference and we were in a startup like cohort, right? And these guys are talking about how they're going to get European space companies up off the ground and it was a lot of regulation. It was a lot of talk about coulda, woulda, shoulda. And I was just kind of like, why don't you go for it? Like, just do it. Like, what's the...
Yeah, because it's scary as shit for most people.
Yeah.
And the best way to describe it is like you've got this like intense like fire, and it sounds cliche, but it's like this thing that drives you to want to continue to challenge yourself and create something new. And you've almost got this... like embarrassment of opportunity in front of you that you feel like if you don't go grab it right now that you're doing yourself a disservice and to others. But at the same time, as many people as you meet that say like, oh, I want to go do my own thing or I got this idea, taking that leap is really, really fucking hard. It's expensive in many ways, both in terms of time and money in some cases, even if you've got like a side hustle, and it's going to come at the expense of other things. And so when kind of rubber hits the road and like you've got to do it, it scares the shit out of a lot of people. And so you have a lot of folks that talk about it, but very few folks that act on it because it's not for everybody. And frankly, it shouldn't be for everybody. To some extent, I think that a bit crazy to have taken it on.
I was telling somebody the other day, it's like I'm getting really good at juggling chainsaws and it's like at one point it's like it's terrifying, right? And like you're like the fear and anxiety of like getting it wrong, but then the better you get at it, like you're like, I could take one more chainsaw,
100%.
no worries. So,
and then next thing you know, you're just like buried under opportunity. But the other thing that a lot of folks don't, I think, realize is that it's easy to start a business, like business of one, single purpose entity, sole proprietorship. But if you want to build a business from the ground up at scale in the United States, yes, it is the land of opportunity. It's probably the best place to go to start something. It can be complicated at scale. I mean, everything from accounting to finance to insurance to taxes. To grow from scale and to do it legit, that's the other thing, legit above board. It requires a lot of work. You can have a great idea, you can do it party of one, but once you decide to, put somebody on a W-2 on a payroll, things get really complicated really quickly. And I think that's a deterrent for a lot of folks that are trying to grow something.
Yeah, I think Beltway is kind of like getting into that territory where this summer is a prime example of growing. Like we have 30 teams, 6 U
You've
teams.
grown it.
We've got like 300 kids playing lacrosse. And I'm like, I got to start delegating. I got to start scaling. I got to, I just started a new job with Glue Up. Like I'm 100% focused on that. And I'm like, okay, how do I serve all my masters, right? How do I keep everything juggled in the air properly? And that for me is definitely like a skill.
But you do know at some point, right? If you want it to be hugely successful, you got to go all in. That's the one thing I learned. And it's tough, man. It's tough to like punch that ticket and say, I'm going all in. But if you want it to truly grow and to see your passion in the business fully reflected in the company and its growth, at some point you got to go all in, man. But that's different. It's different timing.
For sure, we want to go all in on Beltway. I mean, I've always been an
as your employer and Glue Up's listening.
Yeah, absolutely. But I love being a tech guy. Like I love being in the software industry. I love being in the association industry. Like that really is a big, for me, it's a huge thing. Like I really enjoy it. I love lacrosse. I love Beltway, but like I kind of like the fact that Beltway can be a community thing for all of us. Like I'm kind of the ringleader, but like everybody has like a role, and then we just keep growing and like we keep adding more functional pieces. And then, the dream is like kind of one day, maybe not a cooperative, but like it's ours. We built it. We control it. Like we don't have some group that's telling us like, oh no, you can't do that. That's
right.
That, it's like, this is what's good for youth. This is what's good for the old guys. This is what's good for the, the girls. So I do love that aspect of it. Though I wanted to come back to the lemonade bit because I think that you would kind of love this. And we were in this meeting, and they were like, "Well, why are Americans so good at startups?" And I was like, "I think it's kind of like the lemonade stand. As kids, we all do it. We're all in sales. Americans can all sell. Like it's just innate in our DNA." And these Europeans were like, "I don't understand." And I was like, at a very young age, we all go outside and take an action to do marketing, to sell, to manufacturing, and it's all around and it sounds silly, it's a lemonade stand, but like that's kind of how we all get our start in this.
Every business. I mean, it's a great analogy because to some extent, we're all building lemonade stands. Some flavors a little bit different, but one thing that I learned because I had before I started the companies that I have now, I was a W-2 in a global C-suite role, and I spent a lot of time traveling around the world. And you get over to Europe, and when you start to understand some of the limitations that they've placed on themselves in terms of taxation, employment law, it is almost becomes a disincentive to grow a business. And I'm not an expert on international taxation, but what I do know from some friends that I have that have worked over there that have talked about starting businesses, you get to a certain scale and you actually, it's almost like you start losing money based on the taxes that you're paying. But here in the United States, at least as it still stands today, you can see growth reflected in value that you create, and that value can be reinvested into the business, or it could be going straight into your pocket to your employees, however you want to do it. But we still do have that environment that allows folks to grow and see a direct correlation between profit and value and their, and their kind of, application of effort, as you would like to say.
Nice. I'm going to change gears here a little bit. So you're a fighter, right? Like that's one of the things I love about you is you're a boxer. Love to kind of hear a little bit about your path, in the world of boxing. A lot of people don't know this. You're a Golden Gloves boxer, or you were when you were a kid. You train with kind of a legend here in the DMV. Talk a little bit about growing up in Alabama, being a boxer and kind of like, I think like the combat sports help kids, right? Like whether it's wrestling, MMA, boxing, like makes you tough, you can take a punch, right? Like you don't get intimidated taking a punch.
I'm going to take the belt off while I do this. People don't think I'm here because I just won some,
as the
International Boxing Federation. So I came to boxing when I was in college. So I grew up in Alabama, went to a small private liberal arts college, and I was outside of a club waiting in line one night down in Birmingham, Alabama, and I look a few folks ahead, and I see a guy that I went to high school with. I was like, "Derek, how you doing, man?" He turns around, he's got this huge black eye, and he's like, he's a pretty big dude. I was like, "What happened, man?" And he was like, "Oh no, man, it's cool. I just started boxing." with this Golden Gloves team here in Birmingham. And I was like, oh, that's cool, And I'm always somebody that has liked the personal challenge of being on a team, but also having that kind of one-on-one challenge, right? Where there's just you and one other person, right?
Maybe that's how you ended up being a Fogo, right?
100%, man. That's why I love the Fogo position, because at least for a brief period of time, it's you versus another person. There's an objective, and one of you's getting out a winner, one of you's getting out a loser. And I love the challenge of boxing, one, because I'm always kind of like, it's a challenge, and I'm proving to myself more than other people that I can do something. And when you get in the ring with somebody, there is no better way to learn about yourself than being put into a boxing room with another person. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do, it's going to hurt, right?
There's
you're
a penalty, yeah.
Yeah, and there is a penalty to that. And somebody's there to beat on you, right? Because you win by beating on somebody. I was fortunate that I found Jim, same one that my buddy went to, and he had a Golden Gloves program, and I was a junior in college when I started this. So I did it for 2 years, and like everything that I do, it's either 0 miles per hour or 9,000. And so poured myself into it completely. Did that for 2 years. Enjoyed the hell out of it, learned a ton about myself, but then very quickly realized that, I'm not going to be a professional boxer, right? I was a good boxer, but,
I mean, Golden Gloves is like...
Well, wasn't a Golden Glove champ. Let's just be clear. Not a champion. That's a very different thing. But boxing in some Golden Glove tournaments, box with those guys. I didn't take it to the level that they did, but was very, proud of what I accomplished. And I mean, I was a good boxer, but not where I was going to, be a guy that you were going to see on ESPN.
So what's the difference between like a Golden Glove champion and a Golden Glove club member? Is that like as you advance in those tournaments?
So you ultimately win kind of in that Golden Glove division. And so you can fight on various teams, you can fight in tournaments, and then, you kind of move your way up and you fight in, like, you could be regional, I believe they were doing state regional, and then, you're like national Golden Glove champ. But at the end of the day, the guys that I was boxing with, like, it was no joke. Like, they were serious boxers.
Yeah.
Some of those guys went on to accomplish some like great things. And so I learned a lot about myself, but then, quickly realized, like, I'm not going to make a professional career out of this, and getting hit in the head is not
small margins, right? Like,
yeah.
You're a good boxer, not a great boxer, and you quickly realize, like, I'm okay, but I'm not.
Pays huge dividends when you're out at a bar on Bourbon Street in New Orleans,
sure.
But
you can defend yourself well.
Yeah, exactly.
Helps in box lacrosse too.
It does,
right?
100%, man.
Nobody's gonna mess with you.
Yeah, but that's, again, that's why I like the Fogo position.
You like the battle
in lacrosse. I love the battle, and it's boxing like lacrosse. It's one of those sports where you have to use all aspects of your body, right? It's top half, the bottom half. It's your brain. There's a gamesmanship to it. There's like moving chess pieces around the board. You're always thinking about, like, what's the move, the counter move. There's a team component. One of the things that I loved about boxing was just the physical stress that it put your body under, and what you realize you could accomplish. I remember our coach, when we were getting ready to train for tournaments, he used to put the guys on the fight team in the ring, and he would line guys up on the bench outside of the ring from the lightest to the heaviest. And you stayed in the ring, and you started with the lightest guy and you ended with the heaviest, or sometimes he'd mix it up. And so they would come in fresh every round, and you were boxing a new guy, and they all had different, obviously different weights, different reaches, kind of different skill sets. And, you get through a round of that of like 6, 7, and in Golden Gloves, we're only fighting 3 rounds, but you train like you're fighting 6. And man, you learn a lot about yourself and what your body can take.
I did box at VMI. Part of the
really?
VMI curriculum is every rat has to take rat boxing. And we had this like just old school, like, I don't know if he was a Marine, but he was an old school boxer, and he loved blood.
That was my coach.
He just
former
loved
Marine,
blood.
man. Yeah.
So like, I'm not a terrible like boxer, fighter, athlete, whatever. First match went pretty well, but as you won, you then went against a more competitive fighter, and then you're basically fighting your friends too, which was crazy. Like one of my buddies, Skid Candy, like we're boxing each other. He busts me in the nose. My nose is bleeding, and I'm like, this is completely miserable. But then like, you're like, okay, you won. Now you go and fight the big guy at the end, right? And that was brutal. So a lot of respect there. It's
a lot of fun, man. And then you mentioned I fought at Olympia Boxing in Falls Church for a while.
Oh yeah. Tell that story, because I know that's a really cool, the coach you had.
Yeah, Coach Jim Ed Jones, who since passed away. I found him, to like basic internet search. I was looking to try to keep up, staying in shape. But again, I love boxing in general. So trained at that gym for a while. Didn't do it competitively, just because that was not the game I was in, man. I was, starting a family and Just was not looking to become some kind of professional.
There's really no gyms in the DMV for
no.
guys
There's
to go and train.
No,
like
down in
school.
DC, I think there's still a couple, but he was old school. I mean, you went to the bottom of that gym; it was below grade.
Yeah.
I mean, it smelled like shit. I mean, it was dingy. It was nasty. You know, his workouts were
like straight out of Rocky.
100%, man. Like duct tape around the bags.
Nice.
But he did it right, man. And I really, really enjoyed that. And that came about at a time in my life similar to lacrosse, man, where like I needed that. And to some extent, it was a lifesaver. I mean, it was when I found you in lacrosse, man, it was probably like one of the darkest times of my life. And I needed that, man, to help get me through
It's so
that.
hard for me to imagine you in like a place, like a dark place, like knowing who you are today and just kind of like the energy that you bring. I mean, you're always bringing the juice at practice and stuff. So like looking to reduce risk and add value to your commercial real estate investment, call in the Cavalry. Cavalry Real Estate Advisors delivers industry-leading tax and advisory services nationwide. Our expert team of real estate professionals and innovative taxonic software platform help you as a commercial real estate owner. You can rest easy at night knowing you aren't paying more than your fair share in real estate taxes. Cavalry also supports commercial real estate investors, owners, and developers with a wide range of market advisory services and products, including feasibility studies, fiscal and economic impact reports, and litigation support. Oh, I want to talk a little bit about like how you found lacrosse, right? You grew up in Alabama. You played like 2 years in high school.
We had a club team in Birmingham in the city.
Nothing really formal though, right?
No, man. I mean, nobody knew lacrosse down south.
So you played for a little bit.
Couple years,
You move up here as an adult, and then how do you find lacrosse? Don West? You bumped into Don West?
The great Don West, man. Like the OG Godfather of lacrosse. Yeah, a buddy of mine in town in Falls Church, Brian Williams over at Viget. Shout out to him. He's another entrepreneur. I'd been coaching my daughter in Falls Church youth lacrosse, which is, the girls' sports. The girls' version is very different than the boys. But I was looking for something after boxing. And I was like, I spent so much time training with
the old Bombers crew?
Bo Bombers, man. So Donnie let me come out summer of 2021 to play with him, go out my first game.
How did that go?
Break my hand. First game.
No, you didn't.
Swear to God, broke my hand. Man. Ironically, a boxer's break.
You've had some awesome injuries.
Oh, dude, it's ridiculous.
Broken ribs.
Yeah. Collapsed lung. Broken both hands. Hand. Yeah. Tough. Broke my foot, but
you broke a foot too?
Yeah, but that wasn't lacrosse. That was at the gym.
Okay.
Getting ready for, the next week. Yeah, exactly.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So you start with Bo. And then how many seasons was that? Vel back in the day?
That was Vel. Yeah, but word of grace.
Did you play with those guys?
Probably, I don't know, maybe one. But I played that summer, and then he introduced me to you, and I started playing box.
When we were at Larry Graves, right? That's when
right.
You got yeah. So I remember seeing you on the field. You didn't know any of the rules.
No.
Throwing ice picks, just using the free hand to hold guys, and then you were like, "That's not a rule."
You're like, it's like you can't tackle
Ross,
people.
It's actually a rule. That's good shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've got a little,
And then how did you find box? Like just the Bears stuff, like pick up. You just started showing up, and you're like, I like this.
So Don passed along, I think, like an email you sent out. I'm like, hey, we're gonna play box. I
so
knew nothing about box lacrosse, by the way. Yeah. So I show up at this. I think it was at the St. James, right?
I think we were the winner at the St. James. Yeah.
Winner of the St. James. Yeah. I show up and everybody's putting all their gear on, and I'm like, why is everybody wearing all these extra pads? This is ridiculous, man.
So heavy. Why are you doing?
Yeah, I was like, what are you guys doing, man? I was
first cross check. You understood.
Yeah, I got out there. First time I got cross checked in the kidneys and the arm, I was like, oh, that makes sense. But I love the game because it was like close contact. It's all out. It's like you're like storming the beaches of Normandy. If you're on the field, you're in the action. It's not like waiting for a rotation or a mini line.
You're in a telephone booth. There is no place to chill. You are in it. Either you're in it or get off the floor. Yeah.
Yeah. And the contact aspect is just like you've been playing after that game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just kind of change gears a little bit. Like, you were sharing just a brief story about like when you found lacrosse and you're going through kind of a weird time. Talk about that. Like what were you going through as an entrepreneur? Like what did lacrosse help you with? Like how did that help you to like, cause like you're just like such a machine, man. I can't imagine like, I feel like you're up every day at like 6 a.m. and late nights and stuff. Like, so just share a little insight into like that period and like what it meant to find lacrosse and how that helped you to kind of like get over that hump.
Yeah. Man, this is like something I don't think I've ever shared publicly. I mean, folks that are close to me know, but so 2019, I left a publicly traded company that I worked for. I'd finally worked my way up into like a global C-suite spot. Realized very quickly, like you look behind the curtain and you're like, I can do this myself.
Yeah.
It's ironic. It's like the higher you move up in a company, the more you see, the more confident you get. You're like, I can do this. So I leave that company. I go work in a house for a client for about a year and a half to wait out my non-compete, non-solicit. Shortly after that happens, I launched Cavalry Real Estate Advisors, which was kind of a culmination of a lot of the things that I've been doing over my career. That starts to go well. That was February of 21. 6 months later, I'm over 2 years outside of that company, well outside of my non-compete, non-solicit. I'm kicking their ass. Taking clients.
Took your whole book of clients with you.
Went back to went back to like the greatest hits, calling people, hiring people. And I'm confident, feeling myself, like things are going well, man, this is great. And all of a sudden, boom, I get served with a lawsuit at my house. By the way, if you've never been sued personally, not your business where you got covered by some large company that'll back you, it can be terrifying.
Absolutely.
Guy shows up, serves you with papers at your house. And this wasn't just like a petty lawsuit. That they were suing me, and in that claim, they were asking for a minimum $10 million.
That's a huge
I just
number.
launched a company, right? I had one employee and then my partner. And so immediately you go into like the highest DEFCON possible. It becomes an existential threat at that point.
Yeah.
Right? Because even if you make it through the lawsuit and can cover the cost, you're worried about losing clients if they find out. And it was, in my opinion, all bullshit. It took a year to get through, to get it settled out. It was expensive. It was painful.
I can't even imagine the legal fees associated with something like that.
I don't even want to get into the numbers of it.
Could have bought yourself a beach house, I guess.
Oh my God, man. We could have an entire podcast just in that lawsuit to give people just an understanding of what's involved. And I learned so much about the legal system. Also learned a lot about what's great about our legal system and capitalism in this country and what's horrible about it, like the negative repercussions. But the whole like dark period of my life was, when you're served with a lawsuit, and I was sued in federal court, right? This is not some like bullshit, let me get you in Fairfax County situation. This was federal court. And when you get sued personally, you can't get a car loan. Everything's locked up. You can't borrow money. You can't refi your house.
I hadn't really thought about that aspect of it, right? Like
None of that.
You and your family and all of your expenses are locked, and there's nothing you can
Existential
do. That's terrifying.
financial annihilation. Pure, like bankruptcy to the nth degree. And so you're navigating this. And then the worst part is, as much as people tell you like, hey, I'm there for you, like I understand. And like my family and friends that knew about it, like, thank God for that support structure. But at the end of the day, it didn't help, right? Because nobody can handle the issue that you're in. Nobody can deal with those problems. Nobody can make those decisions. You don't have a big company that you're relying on. I don't have a general counsel I had an attorney for the business that was helping, but like I'm the guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm the one
It's
being
on you.
sued too, personally, not my company, but me personally. And it was all tied to that. And so, you're laying awake at night, staring at the ceiling and be like, oh my God, thinking about the worst possible scenarios. And I found LACROSSE, and I don't think I've ever told you this, but I have a bit of ADHD, right?
A little bit. We both do, right?
Mine's always running on.
It's my superpower.
I was just going to say the same thing. It's my superpower. Once you learn how to harness that, man, I'm going to go on a speaking circuit too about that one day to teach kids who have been diagnosed with ADHD about how you can harness that. Because once you figure out how to harness that, it is a superpower. So anyway, one of the things that I love about LACROSSE, and I love this about boxing too, is that when I'm on the field, right, for that 1 hour, right, it is the only thing that I'm thinking about. Like I am completely in the zone.
You're clear.
All of the bullshit about work, all of this stuff just fades away and truly does not seep into my mind. And so when you were talking about like I would find pickup games, like who's playing, where can I play? I don't care who it is. It was because to some extent it was an escape from what I was dealing with. And without that, like I honestly think that I would have lost my mind.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Because I just, even when I think back to your mentality and your mindset, you'd be like, man, this is helping so much. And I'd be like, man, Ross is the nicest guy. I wonder what he's going through, right? Like, wild to think that you were going through like one of the most terrifying aspects of your life. And just knowing you're a dad and husband and kind of how much that was probably weighing on you, right? Like, that's huge. Yeah, I love our Beltway community, man. There's so many guys. They're like, whether they're the old masters guys, the grand masters guys, the young guys. Like, I think like the thing that I love the most is I show up like once a week on a Sunday. Like my wife wants to kill me, right? She's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, gotta go. I gotta go like set up the field, and we gotta go run stuff.
What you've built is incredible, man. And you're right. I mean, the guys are great. It's a great community. Your branding, your swag, like as an entrepreneur who's built multiple companies.
Yeah, I love the merch for sure.
Your marketing and branding is on point, and I love it. I have so much respect for that. But you've built a great community. It's good people. And like, you know, every once in a while you get some goons, and I've been accused of being a goon once or twice.
So the other night in the game, right, there was a huge collision on the ground between the Growlers and Monks, and like John Reed and another guy kind of like fell over, and I was like, oh my gosh, how's this going to go down? And everybody was cool. Everybody got up. They were like, hey man, no harm, no foul. Like, you know, other than the Monks crying for some calls there at the end, I was like, you guys are killing it. Two of our best, George and Bennett,
Dave McClain has got some photo evidence of those missed calls. Just as a heads up.
Old guy, like poor Bennett, like you guys are crying for everything. He's like, you guys can't even stop yourselves without going over the line. Like,
it's true, man. Nobody's switching directions.
Poor Bennett and George, and I thought they did a pretty good job. But
the refs are awesome, man. They're great, and as much as people bitch, like very appreciative that they take time out of their
they love it. Like they love to be there to help us keep it safe, and help us, you know, just like live our best life, right? Like without those guys, we can't have that game.
100%.
So I love that it's our friends. It's like guys our own age that come out there. Like, you know, Bennett's out there like 10 p.m. on a Sunday, and he's got a big boy job, right? Like he's got to get up at 0600 and get to work. But like, you know, he's out there running. He likes the exercise, and he doesn't love the shtick from the old guys, I'm pretty sure, but you know, he
emotions run high sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. But you know, he loves being part of that community. So, okay, let's just kind of switch gears here real quick. We're about midway through. Let's get into the first hat trick. So one of the things that we like to do here is give gifts. Got our new shorts here.
Speaking of swag,
the Miami Knights version. So this was a tiger stripe that we did with some bold teal and pink. Those are yours.
Sweet.
Thank you for signing up early.
These are great,
I'm
man.
pretty excited. We went with the
I like this little badge here.
The new summer badge logo that we stole from the Dewey
sick,
Beach Surf Co. They probably won't love that we like to spoof everybody's logo. I think we've gotten really good at that. My wife hates it, but we've gotten
I think
good.
it's great, man.
She's like, you're eventually going to get sued by someone. We've done Taco Bell. We've done all these companies.
Just call me. I've been through it. I'll help you, man.
I mean, like me getting sued by like a huge corporation would be the greatest day of my life, because as a marketer, I'm like this tiny little.
Oh my God!
I would call every news outlet to be like, I'm getting sued.
It was like my attorney told me at the time. He was like, I know you don't want to hear this, because I was stressing.
Yeah.
He's like, I know you don't want to hear this, but this is like the greatest, most expensive compliment you could have ever
100%.
received. A multi-billion-dollar company suing a single guy.
Yeah,
because they're that concerned. So yeah, you could take it as a badge of honor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. First hat of the day. We're gonna go with the Bird Dogs hat, since you're a box guy. I know that you love the Blaze Orange. You're a hunter as 100%. Well. There you go. So if you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
Oh, we already talked about it. I have my superpower.
What is it?
ADHD, man.
How does it make you a superhero?
What's really interesting is that, as you probably know, you can switch between projects and thoughts in a very abrupt fashion where
Totally.
The liability there is that focusing
forgetting to
on
come
like,
back to that one.
Yeah, or
you had that one apple in the air and you're like, wait, I'm going to go to this orange over here, and then you never come back to the apple, as my youth girls 6's parents are waiting for their schedule and rosters today.
Yeah, it can be a liability, but the ability to switch very quickly between pretty complex thoughts and completely unrelated, like non sequitur issues has given me the opportunity to like run this services company, this software company, and now this data center development company. And so I can have a 20-minute conversation with somebody about something over here, completely switch gears over here, and then be able to come back to it. But yeah, if you forget to come back to it, that's a problem. So
your wife loves that, right? She's in the middle of talking to you about picking your daughter up to do X, Y, and Z, and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about the data center project. And then she's like, are you listening to me? Are you paying any attention?
And I'm like, I can.
Oh yeah, totally. And she's like, what did I say? What did I say? And you're like,
I got it all. Yeah. But at the same time, it can be hugely beneficial. I know it's not like an official superpower, So I don't know if you want a different answer for like an actual.
No, that's your answer,
superpower.
man. We're here. Like I totally.
My wife does
agree
say
with
that at some point she's going to write a book on living with an adult spouse with ADHD. Yeah, she's like, I think it'd be helpful for a lot of people.
It would be so helpful for a lot of wives. I think my wife would benefit significantly. So one of the things you started last year was Oasis Data Center. Talk a little bit about that, because like when you told me, I was like, man, that's a wild idea. That could be. I mean, data centers in the DMV is one of the hugest growing markets, right? Like
right here in our backyard.
So what are you trying to do with Oasis? Like what's the game changer there?
We're doing land development, and this company is a testament to telling folks early on in their career to not take any relationship, at its face value. A client is not just a client at some point in the future. They're a potential business partner, and that's what happened. A good friend of mine, Nick Over, shout out to Nick. He and I've known each other for over 15 years. He worked as a developer. He was a client. We became friends. And then off the back of a project that he had identified, and I'd done some work in the data center space as a consultant, helping folks do fiscal and economic impact studies to support land use entitlement. It's a fancy way of saying helping developers get projects approved by explaining how that is going to generate revenue for a taxing jurisdiction and the expenses that might be incurred. So he had identified a project. He called me, was like, a little bit about data centers. Like, what do you think? I looked at it. I was like, man, that's like a great site. So he brought me to that project. He was on the way out from another company. And he had kind of been leaning on me a little bit as, I don't want to say like an advisor, but almost a shoulder to cry on in terms of like how to, what's it like going out on your own and helping with that transition plan.
You're good at that stuff for sure.
And I'm always happy to like pay that forward, man. I mean, anybody that's listening to this, if you're looking about starting a business,
have paid
I will tell you all the good things, all the bad things, and I will reveal all on what you want to know.
Transparency of the warts and all, right?
Yeah. Because if I can save somebody a bunch of money and time and avoiding what I did, I'm happy to do that. So off of that project, we created Oasis, and it was due to some of my experience. I served on city council here in Northern Virginia for a while. And
tired of overpriced takeout and bland meals? Head over to Meal Dealers, mealdealers.com, where flavor meets function. Get chef-prepared meals delivered weekly. No subscription, no stress. Whether you're keto, low-cal, all about macros, they've got you covered with healthy, high-quality options that'll hit your goals. Take it from me. My secret is mealdealers.com. I've lost over 60 pounds since October. Meal Dealers is real food, fast, built for your lifestyle. Order now and upgrade your plate. Use promo code Beltway for a special discount. All caps, Beltway. I mean, like, you just have so many hats. Like, you like, talk a little bit about that and then come back to the Oasis thing.
So
that I think for a lot of people, understanding like your involvement with Falls Church, economic development, and like, it's cool that all of these things are kind of feeding your professional life and your network. And I mean, it's just wild to me, like all the people that you know in your network and your Rolodex. So.
Yeah, I love taking on projects and challenging myself. And it's more of like, I think I can do this. If I can do this, I can prove to myself, as opposed to like, I'm going to do this and hey, everybody look at what I'm doing. I try to remain, as humble and as unpretentious as possible, but it is truly like, I want to climb that mountain for myself, not for somebody else. So I was living in Falls Church. They were going through this very kind of divisive conversation about building a new high school. It's going to cost $120 million.
This is the New Meridian.
The New Meridian High School,
where we've played. Beautiful campus,
2
beautiful turf fields. Like,
awesome place.
Unbelievable
facility. It is an amazing world-class school. And at the same time, we were talking about tearing down the old high school and using the 10 acres that it sat on to do a mixed-use development to help generate the tax revenue to pay for the bonds to build the new high school. And I was kind of sitting around with beers with friends, and I'd been talking about getting involved, and they were like, what we're talking about, isn't that what you kind of do, your expertise? And I was like, shit, it is. And they were like, well, why don't you run for council? I said, you know what, I am. And the real backstory is I had offered to volunteer for a couple boards and commissions and got turned down for it because I was new to town. Mm-hmm. And so as with all things, I was like, okay, you're not going to let me into the party?
I'm going to kick the door down.
Kicking the door down.
Love it.
So I said, fine, I'll run for city council. So I'd lived in the city of Falls Church for less than a year and a half when I decided to run. Nobody knew who I was, but I did what I usually do, man. Just go build a network, convince people, evangelize, and get them, on my side. Got elected. We built the high school on time, on budget. We did one of the biggest public-private partnership mixed-use deals in Virginia history inside the Beltway to get that project built. And then I was successful in the third leg of my platform, which was I promised to lower the real estate tax rate for the first time in 15 years. And we did that
amazing.
in 4 years. And so that was the reason that I did it, kind of right time, right place, right skill set.
Will you go back to political stuff in the future? Did you love it? Or you liked it?
Do like it.
You and Eric, you guys thrive on that stuff.
Love it, man.
Just fires.
I love
fires
it.
up the engine.
There's only really, in terms of what I would do in Virginia, there's really only one elected position that I would be interested in holding. I've spent enough time around local and state.
You want to share or no? Keep it under the vest.
Keep it under the hat. There's only one.
We don't want anybody to get scared.
There's only one that I would
that you covet.
that I would consider. And it's not so much covet for the title, and I think I know where you're going with this. It's more of where I can have the most impact.
You want to go have fun. I know what you want to do. You want to go break things and make change.
To some extent, yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so let's rewind a little bit. Come back to the Oasis piece, where it is today, and like where you see it going. Like my secret ask eventually is like, how do we build a multi-use facility for lacrosse? Couple of turf fields, couple of indoor barns, maybe a data center on top. Like how do we build that vision for somebody?
Okay, so I'll let you go with this, man. Always the Beltway angle.
Yeah, always with Beltway because we got to build a barn, right? The number one reason that box is not going to grow in this area is because we don't have a facility. And I need big investors, right? We need a couple of folks to come in. We need to find like 7 acres or so, and then you got to figure out a way. Build a facility that's open 7 days a week. It's profitable 24 hours a day, right?
Like you've already sold me, man. You've already sold me. You've sold me.
I
will do whatever I can to support the growth of Beltway and to keep me playing box. And if that requires me to sponsor so somebody will wheel my ass out at like age 8.
Litkenhous Center's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, man. Whatever it takes to continue to get invited to play box lacrosse at any age, I'll take that.
They'll be rolling us out in a wheelchair playing
I'll do
Super
it, man.
Grandmasters, right?
Yeah, I'll still be cross-checking people on the knees. Yeah, so nice. For sure. So back to the data center development. I mean, it's interesting that you talk about a box facility. I mean, what is a data center? I mean, it is effectively a concrete box. Right? That's right. It's a refrigerated concrete box.
Perfect for lacrosse.
It is. And what I will tell you, what could be interesting is that some of these legacy, like OG data centers, some of the originals that were constructed that would be too costly to retrofit, that are large, as processing and compute becomes more dense, especially with the advent of AI and the growth of artificial intelligence and other things, you'll probably see some opportunities. But
what I love is super high ceilings,
yep.
Right? Big rectangles, right? Perfect for a rink or two. The only issue I see is the security, right?
And
those data centers, like how do you prevent? Like how do you basically tier access to those servers? I don't know that
you're not going to be able to, and you know, until power supply becomes more readily available to make an acquisition of some of those older facilities feasible, it's going to be difficult to do that.
So you think eventually, like when they figure out the power stuff, there could be some of these older buildings that they just move stuff out of and they become vacant?
I think like to some extent. I don't want to say like too broadly because data center experts on the other end of this podcast, but it's kind of what he's talking about. But right now we're in a power crunch. Dominion just had a huge announcement last Friday. It hasn't been, I don't think it's been made public, but you know, they are effectively running out of power for large scale data center, and the demand for data center.
They put a total pause on all development for data centers in this area.
Over 100. Well, so Loudoun County has eliminated by right development, but it's a power generation issue as well as power transmission. And so, like all of our sites, because we're data center land developers, we eventually want to have data centers with Oasis Digital on the side, and we're leasing to people. Mm-hmm. But right now, we go find land, we get power, water, fiber, get it zoned, you know, get the right taxation in place, and then we go find somebody that wants to put the power infrastructure in place or actually take the buildings vertical. Maybe it's an end user, maybe it's another kind of next level developer that puts that infrastructure in. But the hardest part of, any kind of data center work is finding the right land, baking that cake, and then getting it zoned and entitled. And that is getting much, much more difficult to do. But that's what we're really good at, which is selling the message of the benefits that data centers bring to a jurisdiction, which again is why all of our sites are outside of Northern Virginia, because we saw the political wind shifting, constituent wind shifting, and it comes from a place of privilege, in my opinion, because they make so much money off data centers. This is an interesting statistic for data center nerds out there. Okay, in Loudoun County, roughly a $3 billion a year annual operating budget to run the county. A third of that comes from data centers. Data centers take up less than 9% of the developable land in Loudoun County. and they're still generating hundreds of millions of dollars in surplus. For every dollar in public service costs, right? Meaning, whatever the county has to do to support that data center, they're generating $26 in local tax revenue that goes back to the county. Other types of real estate, mixed use, residential over retail, that type of thing, you're maybe $3 to $5 in tax revenue to $1 in public service costs. So the fiscal benefit to a jurisdiction is just astronomical. And so when we go down to jurisdictions and say, listen, this is a concrete box, it sits back, and it's like an ATM machine coming to your jurisdiction, right? And we're building a more efficient, more sustainable than most people, and we're bringing revenue and jobs to places that want them. Yeah. And one data center can change the fiscal trajectory of that taxing jurisdiction down in South or Southwest Virginia for generations, just one single building. And so the story and the message is there, but when you're in a place that is generating $1 billion a year, and that trajectory is hockey stick in terms of the revenue it'll continue to generate because of how those facilities are valued and taxed, and we could talk about that at another point in time.
It sounds really exciting.
Are you being sarcastic? you're like.
I mean, I love when you nerd out and you start just going straight into the little nitty gritty. But no, I'm just messing with you.
It's just I've been hitting the head too much. Yeah. But it's a fascinating, exciting Wild West. And if I had to go back in time and pick if I had a superpower to go back in time and choose exactly the trajectory professionally, I would have gotten started in data centers much earlier, just because it is the backbone and the foundation for a modern digital economy and digital world. And everything we do is processed through GPUs and CPUs. I mean, this podcast that we're on, everything runs through a data center. Mm-hmm. And it is going to be the backbone, and the evolution of that in terms of power efficiency, sustainability, compute size, processing power is changing almost on a daily basis. And
I hope that they'll add multi-use sports facilities.
And multi-use sports facilities on top of those, and inside of them, I'm sure that's
Can you imagine just every data center to the top gets a box rink on top,
If it's possible, Haj, I promise I will try to make it happen.
That would be epic.
Yeah.
All right, next hat trick. Here we go.
What's this one?
Actually, the red Beltway hat there. That's the
slick,
classic.
Man, the corduroy. Look at that. All right.
Not everybody loves a red hat, but
it depends. A little more divisive
funny
these days.
Yeah, unfortunately, the red hat is. You got to put it on, man.
Oh, I got to put it on. Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know I was supposed to put these things on.
You're supposed to put the hat on.
Look at that. All right.
There you go. Now you're in the mode. What would you give? What piece of advice would you give to a young person that's just starting lacrosse? Like, what is one thing you wish you could go back in time and kind of like do to kind of help make sure your lacrosse career is a little bit more advanced?
God, I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because I didn't have.
I think you're the perfect person, because you have a very, very unique perspective. You grew up non-hotbed area, came to it late, but you came to it with a lot of passion and love. Like, there's got to be something there that you're like, I wish this or that.
So this may sound kind of like, as the kids would say, basic, right? And this is the same thing I would tell somebody that wanted to pick up, try boxing, and that is conditioning. Because the better condition you are, the longer you can stay on the field, and the more you can learn. Because this, it's basic, physiology, right? It's basically body science, which is the more tired you get, the more your technique breaks down.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you're too tired and your technique breaks down, you're not learning anything. And so
that's absolutely a boxing trick, right? Like your form and function when you're tired sucks. And that's
when you're tired and you start getting hit in the face, your technique breaks down, and you're on defense, and your brain is like going haywire. And it's the same thing playing lacrosse. You get tired and you don't have time to think about, like, all right, we talked about this play, this movement, or I was looking at this new face-off technique. I'm just tired. I'm just trying to keep from Scott Mackley from trucking me, going straight to the
everybody
goal.
On the field is worried about getting
exactly. That's my whole goal. Is like, let me just go 50-50.
Owns a CrossFit gym and
was like All-American.
All-American.
Yeah,
if you're in the Gainesville Haymarket area, check out his CrossFit gym.
And so, for situations like that, it's like, just be in good shape so the technique has a chance to develop. And I think a lot of people discount the need to stay conditioned. And the other thing I would say is start throwing with both hands.
Two box guys.
Unless
yeah.
you're Canadian,
Neither
like,
one of
no,
us. Neither one of us have an offhand, but that's
right.
it.
Yeah, it's just like learn early on because I was like righty forever. But down in Birmingham when I was playing,
you're
it was
still ready, bud.
No, I'm still righty. Yeah.
There's no
I think
offhand.
I've passed like my left hand like twice.
I love when you get caught. You win the face off, and you're like, oh, I got to throw it with my left, and you're like grandma underhand throwing the ball to somebody. Like,
dump it
here,
off.
take it from me, please.
But I never had to focus on that down in Alabama because we basically played all like military academies and reform schools, kids that got shipped down from New England because they were in trouble, and so it was basically just like legalized assault
Goon
on the
squad,
field.
yeah.
We had no technique.
You loved it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh my God, I loved it, man. We were like bad news bears. But that's what I would say, man. Conditioning, and then for God's sake, start learning offhand.
Yeah,
as soon as you can.
All right, we're up to our next hat trick here. I'm gonna give you the. Nolan refused to break this out last week, but this is the Fins. It was done by Dust Bowl Hats.
I don't know if I can wear this one.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet hat though. They did a good job with that one. So one of the questions we've been asking is your last meal. So Dalton Young was like, "You mean a mukbang?" And we had never heard of a mukbang.
I don't even know what that is.
So mukbang is like basically like it's your last meal, but it's
I feel like you shouldn't Google that. Like,
I definitely wouldn't Google that for sure.
Like suspect.
Your mind goes to the worst places. All right, so mukbang is basically like anything you want, basically like your favorite appetizer, your favorite entree, dessert, like piled up on a plate. Yeah. You get it from multiple restaurants. Okay. I think Dalton's was like Chipotle and some other stuff. Nolan definitely didn't like it. Yeah. And then last week, Angel had he was a big Glory Days guy, so he went with like fries, lava cake, like wings, he had a whole thing. So last meal, like mukbang, what are you going with?
The last one that I ate?
No, like if it was your
my last meal, because I was about to give a shout out.
Ever gonna eat?
I was gonna give a shout out to my buddy that's got a lumpia business because I just ate an entire pack before I came over, like little Filipino kind of egg roll things.
Where'd you get that?
My buddy's got a business called Bamboo Spoon that he just started doing lumpias. A friend of his who was a chef.
Falls Church? Where is this? He's
in Falls Church, but they're selling it. It was like Westover and Lubber Run or something like that. So
Matt's taking notes right now.
Yeah. They're excellent, man. I ate 10 of them, the whole pack, which I think it's meant.
I don't think I've ever had lumpia. That sounds.
They're like little spring roll looking things, man. So that's literally what I ate before I came here.
Definitely love Filipino food. It's so good.
Oh, they're delicious. If I had to have a last meal, it would probably be my mom's meatloaf.
What's your mom's meatloaf? What about the appetizer? What are you getting for your favorite appetizer?
Favorite appetizer, hands.
Can be anything.
Buffalo wings, man.
Wings from where?
Hands down, buffalo wings. Do I have a specific place?
Are you a sauce or a rub guy?
No, man. I'm a sauce with a little bit of fry. Not too much fry, not just the skins, a little bit of fry. Like there's a place in Falls Church.
I'm a double down guy, like Clyde's. Sauce them and then refry them.
No, I don't know if I've ever done that.
Yeah, go to Clyde's, double down, absolutely double down. They sauce them, they fry them, sauce them, and then they fry them one more time and then sauce them.
Couple good places in Falls. I like Dogwood Tavern's wings. Actually, like there's an Irish bar, 4Ps has good. Clarendon's has good. I'm like a
Clarendon's. Is that place?
I'm a buffalo wing slut, man. Like I will if somebody puts on the menu like rated best buffalo wings in the state or even the county, I'm like, I gotta try it. And then they're trash, and I'm like, oh God, fool me the 100th time. Like shame on me.
Are you a ranch or blue cheese guy?
Blue cheese all the way.
Blue cheese.
Ranch is an abomination. It's an abomination.
I love ranch.
I'll eat it if there's not
undefeated. Wingstop Ranch is undefeated. I could drink that shit.
I mean, if it's the only option, I'll do it. But I always prefer like chunky blue cheese, man. That's the way to go.
My wife's not a fan. She just
buffalo wings or
no blue cheese? Like no me.
She's not a fan. She's not a fan of me.
Just kidding, Merrick. Just kidding.
It's got dark really quick.
She's like probably listening to this. Like, what are these stupid podcasts?
She's making notes right now. She's like,
10 things I hate about you.
Yeah, 100%.
Sharing the podcast with her girlfriends. Thinking like,
yeah, she's like, look at this clown. Yeah, you're like, oh man, I thought I was doing something.
So you're going buffalo wings with blue cheese. What sauce did you say? Going buffalo sauce?
Just buffalo sauce, man.
Hot or medium?
Like spicy, but not to the point where it's ridiculous. Like I want to be able to taste. There used to be a place over in Seven Corners. It was like it was like a pub. It was like pub.
Oh yeah, the soccer place.
That guy used to put balsamic vinegar in his sauce, which gave it like this little bit of like tang, which is amazing. I have not been able to find somebody that's replicated that.
Nice.
But then it went out of business, probably because he was like serving Scotch. You ever had a Scotch egg?
Yeah,
Scotch eggs.
I'm Scottish, so I've had a Scotch egg. Yeah.
That was the first time I'd had a Scotch egg.
That was like an English soccer pub. They used to run like EPL games in there. It was
It's like-
kind of a dive, but it was cool.
But it was good. He had good food. It was a hard boiled egg covered in sausage meat, then deep breaded and deep fried. I ate one of those.
Leave it to the Scottish people to fry something and then have it
fry it
be just
again.
super bad for you. Yeah.
Oh, it was terrible for you. I ate one of those. I swear to God, I didn't eat for like 3 days. It had like 9,000 calories in it.
Nice.
But it was delicious. Anyway, so that was a great sauce that he had. I really enjoyed that. But
Nice.
yeah.
And what are you going with for dessert? You like a pecan pie guy being a Southerner? Or?
Oh, my grandmother, who's since passed, made the best chocolate pecan pie.
Oh, that sounds
And
good.
she made it from scratch. I could eat a mountain of that. She made the best desserts too. And there were probably 2 or 3 that she made that I would have to add. I mean, for nostalgia.
Southern grandmas, dude, that's like your Southern Nana can just whip up a dessert.
Yeah, and
right?
it's always you fix yourself another plate. I've already had 3 plates. She's like, you need to put some weight on. Go you get another, fix yourself a plate. That's what she always used to say.
Right?
Yeah.
This summer, give your player the ultimate lacrosse experience at Beltway Summer Camp. Session 1 happening June 23rd to 27th at Lake Fairfax. It's a full week of fast-paced lacrosse, skill building, and summer fun. Boys and girls ages 5 to 14 will train with top coaches, compete daily, and even hit the water park on Wednesday. We're going to serve pizza on Friday, and we're now offering before and after care for working families. Click the QR for more information. Registration will sell out. Don't wait. Secure your registration now at beltwaylacrosse.com. Beltway Summer Camp, where DMV players level up and make memories. So last hat trick of the day. This is the new one. So this is the patch design that we created with the Delaware license plate. I don't know if you've got a range bag that you like, but that patch is perfect for a hat or a range bag. So imagine yourself, you're talking to your daughter. She's graduating from high school. What do you want her to know? I don't want you to get too emotional, but what are you going to tell her on the day of graduation to make sure she knows how much she means to you and what you want for her when she grows up?
I think the piece of advice that I would give her, which, I think our generation, I feel like, is one of the first in recent history to feel like we've given ourselves the permission to give our kids this advice, which is before you decide to settle down, whatever settle down means, right? Go out and experience the world. Live, man.
I think we got forced into like this mindset of like, go to college right away, graduate from college, get married, get a job. And like I'm 49, going to be 50, and I have my whole life ahead of me. And I think young kids have so much pressure on themselves.
So much pressure.
It's like, dude, I've had 4 different careers since I started working. I've been married twice. Luckily, the second time was the best time. But like, I think kids there's so much pressure for them to feel like, especially like kids that are going to like college lacrosse, or there's so many different paths, whether it's junior college, D3, D1. Like, kids just need to understand, like, there's so many different things. I think that's great advice.
I told my daughters early on, I've said, listen, if you, and I truly mean this, if you don't want to go to college, that's okay. I mean, there are plenty of other careers out there. And it's not that I don't want you to get an education, but when getting an education that's applicable, right, to something that creates value for community, and value can be interpreted 1,000 different ways. It doesn't have to come as a 4-year degree. It doesn't even have to come as a 2-year degree. But it's more of experience life, so you can figure out what you want, but more importantly, know what you don't want, right? And that is something that I feel like, again, I'm 45, and give our kids permission to do that, and do what you enjoy, because there's more than enough time to do all of the adulting.
There's so much time. And I think even as parents, we fall into this trap of being like, it's a race to a milestone. And it's not. The journey is like the whole thing. Like, my son's
so profound.
I know, so profound. But my son's graduating, right? And he's going to kind of take a gap year, go to Nova, and him and his buddy, Tyler Massich, they're starting a mowing company. They already have like 23 lawns.
I had a landscape company to help pay for me to go to grad school.
And I'm like thinking about, like, you two are going to start a business. You're going to pay taxes. You're going to like probably make a ton of money. Like, and I love it. I'm like, you guys are going to go pay your way through college. And they're both of this mindset, like, go to Nova, go to Virginia Tech, start our first business, And like, I went to college with this guy, Matt Ippoliti. He started a mowing business and he was making like 6 figures every year as a freshman in college. And then he basically like he just had someone host the business while he was away at school. And when he would come home for summer, he would work it.
There's so many different ways to make money and to create a quality of life.
I think that's great advice for
yourself.
kids, man. I think that's great perspective, man. Like, definitely, you have all the time in the world, and take a gap year, like experience it. So all right. So let me pronounce this.
Was that my last hat trick question?
That's your last hat trick.
So I'm gonna take this
keep that on, or you can throw it on the ground.
I'm gonna keep it right here. All right.
All right. So your other business, you launched a software company, which I think is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, so how do you pronounce it? It's Taxonics.
Taxonics, yeah.
Taxonics. And so, what led to launching that company, and like, what do you do, and like, why a software company?
So it was a recognition of a kind of gap in our industry, and the space that software is in is to help people solve real estate tax problems, and to like put this in a nice kind of tidy little present boat up here is real estate tax is the single largest operating expense if you own commercial real estate. And so helping people understand, predict, forecast, reduce real estate taxes is incredibly important. I mean, commercial property owners or real estate owners pay, close to $700 billion a year in real estate taxes across the country. And there aren't that many people that specialize in this. I fell ass backwards into that particular niche of real estate early on. And at the company I was at that sued me, I had been pushing for a while to figure out how to productize some of our services in a software. Some of it still requires that right brain aspect, but some of it with enough data and being able to build through softwares.
So is it a platform? Is it software?
It is a software. It is a software as a service. Yep.
And how did you like develop it? Like, you're not a developer. Like,
no.
How did you? I mean, you built a software platform.
I built a software platform. I went to the handful of people I knew that knew enough about the niche area that I was in and knew enough on how to translate that expertise into software to engineer it, or at least oversee the engineering of it, and effectively sold them on the idea of doing it. And so our CTO, our Chief Technology Officer, Galen, who lives down in Atlanta, I'd worked with him in the past, and I called him and I said, hey, listen, Heidi, my partner, and I at Cavalry, we have this idea. We want to build this software platform to productize some of what we're doing. I think I called him on a Friday. I was leaving Lewis, Delaware. So speaking of your Delaware license plate,
let's give a little shout out to the liquor store there.
R&L Liquors, yeah. My father-in-law
works in Delaware. Absolutely.
That's right. Best liquor store in Delaware.
I was just there a week ago. They hooked me up. A lot of good bourbon in there for you bourbon hunters.
Oh my gosh, great beer selection. My father-in-law oversees the beer ordering there, and he's curated a great.
We do need to just pause to talk about the liquor store, because anybody that's never been there, so it's like 3 or 4 retired gentlemen, a veteran or two. And like, they just are tickle pink to be there. They're handing out samples. They're living their best life in Delaware. Yeah. They know all the best wines, all the best beers, all the best. And they're like, can I interest you in a sample of wine? That's great.
You're like, well, I've got to twist my arm. Why not? Yeah. So it's a great selection, R&L Liquors.
Do you, father-in-law hooks you up with the good bourbons when they come in, or no?
I'm not much. This may sound crazy. I'm not much of a bourbon drinker.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not much of
What's your go-to?
drinker anymore.
Are you a tequila or vodka guy?
Prefer tequila over vodka.
Okay. What do you mix it with? Are you a Red Bull and tequila guy?
I'm a margarita guy, man.
Okay, yeah. I can see it.
I would tell you I love mezcal over tequila too, though. Okay. That's really, really good. But yeah, good margarita, man. Like
salted or
100% salted.
Salt,
yeah.
frozen.
Gotta keep those
frozen?
electrolytes up, man.
Yeah, gotta keep the electrolytes.
No, not frozen, on the rocks.
Nice.
On the rocks. So anyway, call Galen from Delaware, pitch him the idea. He'd quit his job by Monday.
Oh,
which
nice.
was crazy.
Wild.
And he called me and told me he did that. And I was like, oh my God, this is
really
insane.
gonna
I can't
happen,
believe you did that, So we started building, iterating, building. And, we kick and scratch and, raised a little bit of money, built that. And now we built it into a software platform, which is still in kind of its nascent stages. I mean, we're probably maybe 2.5 years in at this point, but we're profitable.
Any outside investment?
A little bit of outside investment. We took, I think.
Investors welcome.
Yeah, investors are welcome. I mean, we don't need the investment now because we're profitable. But
you don't want to devalue your ownership there.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to dilute ownership. But at some point, we will get to that like true Series A raise.
Do you have like people that are selling the software?
Interesting you mentioned that. I literally just hired a director of sales, and she started Monday.
That's outstanding.
Yeah. So That's been growing, but it kind of sits under the same umbrella, solving some of the same problems that we do on the service side at Cavalry, but it's the software version of it. So it's in the same space, but it was something I've always wanted to do, and the company I was with, just couldn't get it figured out, didn't want to get it figured out, didn't care. And I had this vision, this dream, this thing was just like itching. And I was like, I got to get this thing done because I can see the opportunity. And so that's
which baby do you love the most?
Oh, don't ask me that, man.
I know
I love all my children equally.
Gun to your head, what are you going to do? You got to sell one, marry one.
Oh, God. Don't ask me that, man.
Come on, let's go.
I can't answer that.
You got to sell one today.
They're all at different
Sell one today.
They're all at different stages.
Sell one today. Highest valuation ever.
Highest valuation ever.
Somebody wrote you.
Let me answer it this way.
Okay.
Both of those companies were built to sell at some point.
Yeah.
So based on what my employees want, based on how the market values it, I would sell either of them if the opportunity was right. And it allowed the people that I've hired, the team that I've built, to have the quality of life and to continue to feel valued. That's most important to me.
I like that you added that, like, if the internal employees who help build it are ready and willing to sell.
100%. My goal is always to have those employees have the opportunity to own and buy the business. I don't need a business with my name on it. It's not legacy building.
Those sweat equity partners within your enterprise
I gave them, they all have a piece. Everybody in my company owns some piece of that business in some form, fashion, or another. And I did a whole bunch of things to set up a comp structure to make sure that people recognize the value in their own pocket that they have created for the company. That is an incredibly important part of the way that I build any business. And so I would sell them. But it's all of those factors included. The data center piece, that's still early stages. I wouldn't even include that in the conversation. We're still building that one.
All right. So last thing I'm going to hit you with.
Yeah.
If there's a young college kid out there, high school student interested in an internship.
Yeah.
Do you hire interns? How does that process work?
I have hired interns, will hire interns. I do not care what your pedigree is. I don't care where you went to school. I want to see that you have had sustained maintenance of effort to create either discipline or push boundaries, show that you can show up on time, you're a self-starter, you will
paid or unpaid?
Paid.
Okay,
yeah,
that's awesome.
I have a great paid internship program. I just want to see people that want to work hard. And I'm also, it's on my website, it's on my bio. It's like I don't have a monopoly on good ideas.
Yeah.
I expect everybody intern up to the executive
Surround yourself
level.
with good people and let them lead the way.
100%. I hire good people, give them the resources they need to succeed, and then just get the hell out of the way. And they'll do amazing things.
So college kid looking for an internship right now, where could they find you?
Online, man. Just Google my name, you'll find me. Yeah, LinkedIn.
Ross Litkenhous.
Ross Litkenhous, yeah.
H-O-U-S, not like the house.
H-O-U-S, no E on the end.
Took me forever to learn.
I know, man. It's still, I get it all the time. Yeah.
It's German, right?
Yeah, but hey, give me a call. I'm all about helping other people get started, giving people opportunities. But you will work, but you'll enjoy it. And no day is ever the same when you work with me. I can assure you of that.
Love it. Well, Ross, we're kind of closing down the podcast today. Just really appreciate you gathering here to be competitive podcast. I knew it was going to be a little bit like a sparring match.
I love it, man.
The chirping each other, teasing and laughing.
I didn't give you nearly as hard a time as
I figured you were going to be a lot harder on me, so I much appreciate not.
Neither of us need to cry on this podcast.
Yeah,
so.
You were close. You were close a couple times. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Appreciate your time, Ross.
Yeah.
Hope to have you back soon.
Thanks, Aj. Anytime, man.
All right.
Anytime.